because the one thing that you're not going to have is 100% support from everybody. And the biggest thing is we have a culture, and the one thing we say, we don't fire anybody. People leave us because they don't fit the culture.
Hello, everyone. Sean Kirk here from AI Trade Lift. Here I have James Sanders from Titan Roofing. James is going to share his story. We met on an intro to the podcast call. He has a fascinating story of how he got started in this business, kind of like almost like to solve a small problem became a huge and successful business. So, James, can you give me kind of the overview of how you got to Titan Roofing from where you started?
Yeah, good morning, Sean. Thanks for having me on here. So I do have a unique story because I started in the trades with a fireproofing and a waterproofing company that was strictly, at the time, 100% commercial. And it treated me well. But the problem with commercial jobs are you do the work today, you pay for your supplies today and your labor today, and you might not see a check from, depending on what time you started of the month, you might not see that check for 45 to 90 days. So having a family and stuff, one minute you might have 300,000 in the checking account. The next minute you might only have 30,000. So needed something to do to kind of alleviate the stress of not knowing where you're going to be financially. So talked to my wife and we started Titan Roofing. And it was just in the hopes that we would be able to make maybe an extra $20,000 to $100,000 in profit a year. And man, I had a buddy tell me he is a branch manager at ABC Supply. He says, prepare to hold on. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to explode. And I'm like, there's no way. And the first year we came out and we did $1.5 million. And now we're into year number 6 and we're going to probably hit 17 million this year. And this is out of Morgantown, West Virginia, just servicing West Virginia, corners of Maryland, corners of Ohio, and corners of Pennsylvania.
Wow, it's just fascinating. I mean, I need some supplementary income became the income for the most part. Okay, so then, how did you kind of get the word out? I mean, because if you're thinking with 20 to 100 grand, you're probably starting out with a concept of what does it take to make another 20 to 100 grand. How did you start out marketing this business?
So grassroots. We're talking yard signs on telephone poles all across the county, which went from Preston County, then all of a sudden it grew into Mon County, which is where Morgantown is, and then yard signs in Marion County. And then you started getting a couple jobs here and here and here. And then I met a buddy who is a salesman at the local radio station. And he's like, you got to get on this. There's nobody in the roofing market on this platform. And I'm like, man, nobody listens to radio. and I was so skeptical. And I remember going in there and he said, let's just put you on a news broadcast and be something like news and weather brought to you by Titan Roofing. And we'll run every morning at 7:30 or whatever the case may be. And he said, let's start with that. He said, once you start, you won't go back. And I remember sitting there being like scared to make a commitment for like $750 a month, because when you're starting out, you don't want, to overextend what you have, because everything was self-financed. There was no line of credit. There was no nothing. It was all about money that we had in our savings account. So after some thoughts and some prayers and stuff, decided to make the plunge and do it. And we have never looked back since then. Now we have billboards in areas. We have, of course, we're all over the radio. We have TV. We have your SEM, your SEO. You have all that stuff going for you, your Facebook and YouTube and a little bit of TikTok and stuff. So it's amazing how one small scary idea just to try to make a little bit of extra money so we're not like struggling every month turned into this outfit that I just love being a part of.
That's fantastic. That's the wonderful thing about doing these podcasts is I really get an opportunity to talk to a lot of interesting guys. And sometimes you talk to guys and they kind of just stepped into it, right? But it isn't all luck. And there is hard work. And you put the work in and now it's showing up. I mean, how many trucks you have on the road?
Right now we're up to 21.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a billboard in itself everywhere you take it. Yeah. Now, you're kind of involved in the veteran community. You do some things for veterans. Can you tell us about that and how you give back?
Yeah. So, and actually that's a good segue because it just started this Monday, our next contest. So wow. We partnered with GAF and ABC Supply, and 6 years ago, we started a veteran roof contest giveaway. And the way it works is everybody has like a whole month to go in and nominate a veteran, and you give the veteran or their branch of service and then a reason why you're nominating. Sometimes It's a heartfelt story like, hey, my grandfather was in Vietnam. His roof is leaking on him. He's disabled, this and that. Sometimes it's, hey, this is my uncle. He was over in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and he has 7 medals. I mean, so there's some heartwarming and there's some heartfelt stories. But over the first 5 years, we've given away 13 roofs. And we try to average 2 a year. And the way we got off with the math, because some people are like, well, the math doesn't work out. There was 3 years that we couldn't get it down to 2 people. So we ended up giving 3 roofs away. And
Wow.
so we just kicked this off again for this year. It's the 6th annual roof giveaway contest. I've already probably had about 70 entrants so far in the first 3 days of it.
That's fantastic. I always consider that you're as valuable as you can help other people. And we all have a business, we want to make a profit, but, we want to provide something that really makes a difference and truly helps people. Certainly having a roof over your head certainly makes a difference, but being able to do something for our veterans who've done so much for us, that's quite admirable. And with that, I would imagine you kind of have the side benefit of some really good PR that comes out of doing that type of work.
Yeah, it's a reward for something that wasn't expected. When we started
Yeah.
out the first year, we only had 60 people enter. So there wasn't a whole lot of stuff out there. But it's
Mhm.
amazing. Now when my sales guys go into living rooms and stuff, people say, we're going with you because you give back to the veterans. Now,
Right.
certainly we don't do it because of that,
No.
but it is a great spinoff that we didn't really expect to. And West Virginia is unique. West Virginia really sticks together. It's a small knit community for being a
Yeah.
state, and
Yeah,
people really
family in West
support each
Virginia.
other.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful country too. And the choice to go and do this with veterans, is it something that's in the family, in the blood somewhere, that you have family that were
So
veterans?
I had 3 uncles that were in the military. None of my immediate family is.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
have a bunch of buddies, a couple of them who served in Desert Storm and stuff, and they came back and they're not the same person they were when they left, when they came back from Desert Storm. But really, I mean, if you just think about it, there's nothing greater than honoring somebody and supporting somebody that signs their name on a piece of paper and says, hey, I don't know you, but if I have to die for you today, I will. And what greater thing is there than that?
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Now you got your son in this game, right?
Yes.
He's setting up his own shop. You told me a
Yes.
little
So,
bit about that.
yes, we're based.
How's
I'm
he
sorry.
grinding that one out?
So here's the great thing about that. We're based out of North Central West Virginia. He
Hmm.
can come up here and he can sell all day long because the brand's built, right?
Right.
So now he's in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, which is the Martinsburg area, which
Hmm.
is also like Winchester, Virginia, Hagerstown, Maryland. PA's right beside there. So he goes out there and he's building it from scratch. I'm helping him, with advertising. I'm helping him when he has questions or whatever. But he's a 23-year-old out there pounding the pavement. And he'll call me up and he'll be like, Dad, he goes, this is so frustrating. He's like, what do I got to do? I feel like I'm just failing. I'm not doing this. And then this week he signed 3 roofs. So now he's on cloud 9 again, but he's also like at the same time, he's like, I haven't booked an appointment all week. He's like, these are from, appointments from 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I'm like, listen, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
That's right.
He's getting involved in the community out there. We're getting ready to do a huge thing with the Boys and Girls Club that's actually hosted by the voice of the Mountaineers, Tony Caridi, and it'll be July 31st. And it's the largest event in West Virginia to help bring money into the Boys and Girls Club. So
Uh-huh.
we're the title sponsor to that. And he's in with Rotary and he's in with the Chamber of Commerce trying to do stuff to help the community out. So he's getting grassroots effort in order to grow this to where it needs to go. And I told him, I'm like, look, you might do 500,000 this year, you might do 1 million this year, but what you're wanting to do is grow something to the point where you can have multiple people under you and you're actually supporting the community through hiring people.
That's right. You got to plant the seeds before you can harvest the crop, right?
Yes.
So that's good. And it's also good that he'll have the win on the other side of something that he felt he built, right?
It,
And
it wasn't given to him. Like he's struggling, so he's going to appreciate it so much more, just like you said.
yep, as he will. Well, I mean, part of your goal for Titan Roofing is to kind of make it into some legacy company that passes down to your family, and so do you have any other children that's involved, or
Yeah,
just
so my oldest son, Jacob, he's 23. He's the one that's in Martinsburg. I have a 19-year-old who plays baseball at Fairmont State, and he works for me through the summer.
Yep.
And then I have a daughter who's 13 who is just enjoying being a preteen, teenager, whatever you want to call her.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if they all three want to be a part of it, I hope that they are. Jacob definitely wants this to be his life. Bryson's going to school to be in financial management with the healthcare management specialty. So if he wants to do something with it like that, all power, more power to him. None of them have to take this track, but it's here if it's something they're passionate about.
Very good. Now, building a business like Titan Roofing and what you've been able to create, you never really do it alone. I mean, do you have a top management team, or is it you the prime mover of all of it?
So I oversee a lot, and the part that I love best, they allow me now at this point in time to be able to go out and work in the community, to be able to go out and do what I'm passionate about, which is helping others. I have two sales managers. I have Mike Groom and Chris Mercer, and they are both going to hit about $6 million this year in sales.
Wow.
Your top of the line roofing salesman, at least in West Virginia, like that plateau that you want to hit or achieve is about $2 million.
Wow.
So they are rock stars.
They are.
They are bought in. They've been here pretty much since day one. They help grow and build the culture that we have. And then I have an operations manager, Matt Bell, who does an excellent job of making sure production's up and running.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that probably gets beat up the most because if there's any complaints, he's that first line that unfortunately answers the phone to handle them, but he doesn't. He does it great. And then the other thing is I have Shelly, who's in my office, who is just a wonderful person. I took her from the school system. She was a school teacher for over 20 years, and she just got, she got tired of it being in the school system. And she was able to come here, and instead of teaching fourth and fifth graders, she's now managing and running a group of 20 some, toddlers that are running around here trying to work every day. So, and then my wife's involved and my mother-in-law on the back end office side of it. So I have a great support staff. And the biggest thing is we have a culture. And the one thing we say, we don't fire anybody. People leave us because they don't fit the culture.
There you go. That's right. I mean, you can kind of pick up as you share about your staff. You have admiration for all of them. It's an interesting thing, but we can all perceive those things, right? And when you're on the team and it's really a team. You're all coordinating. You're working alongside one another to achieve an end result or whatever that would be. And then you got this guy over here, call him Joe. Boy, they stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, the stronger your team, it's really easy to see the fly in the ointment. So do you find that or if that ever happens, when the wrong egg comes into the organization, that the group tries to, of course, doesn't necessarily fire them, but they kind of make it very clear this guy doesn't fit in? Or do you stumble upon that information somehow?
I don't think the group makes it apparent. I think that person makes it apparent because you know what I mean? The group does what the group needs to do. And I remember I have a guy by the name of Dan Farrell, and this is one of the things that make us so special. He was in the union for a carpenters union for 30 years, right? So we're talking about a guy who has vast knowledge and experience, which is an awesome thing when you're in somebody's house and they want a roof, but they also have extra stuff that they need done that the normal roofing company can't do. We have the experience to do that. And when he came on and I interviewed him, I remember we were sitting there, and we'll go back to grassroots. We were sitting there in the Dairy Queen parking lot in Reedsville, West Virginia, talking, and he got my information from a good friend who's like a brother to me, Jack Field. And Jack said, "Listen, this is a family. It's different. It's like nothing you've ever been with before." And Dan sat there and listened to me in that truck that day, and he said, "I called Jack that day, and he said, or that night after we were done, and he said, I've heard the rah-rah speeches before." He said, "I don't believe it." He said, "I know you say it's great." He said, "But nobody has a culture that's set up that they really care about their people." He said, I've heard the crap all my whole life. This is rah-rah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that." And he said, then it just falls flat on its face. Right. And he told me a year later in his employee evaluation, he goes, "I was very hesitant for the first 6 months." And he said, "I sit back and I watched," and he goes, "Everything you told me was true." And he's 100% bought in. He's running. So we have, over 20 people. He runs 9 of them now. So He gets to sit back in his later years, and he gets to run and manage and lead our group that's out there doing all of our flat commercial roofs.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, the success that Titan Roofing has had, certainly, it's hard work, good coordination, those types of things. But what makes you, or do you believe, stand out amongst other roofing companies that you're competing with? What's your unique opportunity or unique selling proposition that makes you stand out, you see?
I'd say our culture. We're very community oriented. People know that.
Uh-huh.
But we're also, if we go out on a roof and do a roof inspection and that roof only or maybe has 5 years left, we're very transparent with the customer. We take pictures. The pictures are all time and date stamped. We show them, we go over the process and say, look, this is what you have. You have 5 years left. You don't need a roof right now. If you want one, this is what it's going to look like. And then we show them what we have. And then the other thing that we have, and we truly believe this, we're backed by GAF. So we're a President's Club Master Elite. And the selling point of being able to say, look, if something would happen that, God forbid, we go out of business next year, if you have that golden pledge or that silver pledge warranty, GAF's going to find another Master Elite contractor to come in here and take care of any problems that maybe we messed up on. And then it's transparency. Look, every roofing company makes mistakes, right?
Of course.
How do you handle that mistake when it's made? Do
That's
you
what
take
matters.
care of it or do you argue about it? And that's the other thing. We stand by our work, we take care of issues that we have, and we move forward. And we're transparent about it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen also with like the quality control department is really trying to skirt the issue, make it less, make it consider as normal wear and tear or something like that, to actually share the problem with the homeowner and work out how to solve it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go.
And a
Good.
lot of times, you just got to do the right thing because a lot of times somebody will call you and say, hey, I have a leak. You'll go out and do an investigation, and
Sure.
maybe they have cedar wood siding, or maybe the J channel on the bottom, of the vinyl broke or something,
Right.
and it's allowing water to get in behind James Hardy siding. I'll tell you what, we have a lot of issues with that, not to throw them under the bus, but they have a new product out for the Northeast region for the thaw freeze. But a lot of houses that were put up 20 years ago had their old school James Hardy siding. So here in West Virginia with the thaw freeze factor, a lot of that around the edges of the roof or the bottom of it starts to deteriorate and break. Somebody will have a leak and you'll have to go explain that to them. And then it's a matter of what do you do to fix it? Hey, this isn't our issue, but it's an issue for you. So let us try to find out a way to get it fixed for you, which isn't going to rob your bank, but allow us to fix it right.
Very good. Now, where do you see your company heading in the next couple of years? I understand that you really want to build something that, not like looking to sell to private equity particularly or any of that kind of stuff. You're looking to kind of keep it within the family and grow with the family. But where do you want to see the growth go with your company in the next couple of years?
Well, we did 12.5 million last year, and we're on pace to do 17 million this year. The one thing I tell my guys is the landscape of this company every 6 months changes. We don't know what we're going to get into. We don't know what route we're going to go. I would have told you that 3 years ago, we would have never been in commercial roofing. And now we are a door last installer. We're also certified through Elevate, which used to be Firestone. So we can do our EPDMs, our TPOs. We look for jobs that are about 150 squares or less, not looking for any major schools or hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have never guessed I'd have ever been in the commercial side of the roofing.
Yeah.
Just bought a spray foam insulation rig. And I've had GCs for the last 5 years because of fireproofing and waterproofing. It kind of still all fits into that one little niche market. And they're like, why don't you go out and buy a spray foam rig? And I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with spray foam. And we have a spray foam rig now after 7-8 years. So I don't know what the future holds. I just put my faith and trust in the Lord that whatever he puts in front of us, we'll be able to take and handle. But I want Martinsburg to grow so that way my son can take over this company one day if he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can get that to 3 or 4 million, then that'll be a big stepping stone for him to be able to take us over if it would be a 20 or a $30 million company.
Very good.
Unfortunately, one guy could fall off a roof and get seriously hurt or even die. And then your whole business strategy changes because you're starting over from scratch and you just don't know.
True. You don't really know. Now, you are, whether you're too modest to admit, you're a strong entrepreneur. I mean, do you still have the Titan Barriers company? Are you still doing that also?
Yeah, I have 2 guys out today doing a little bit of fireproofing up in Altoona, PA. So the way that works now at this point, I don't sit down in front of a computer and put out estimates to 20 GCs to try to land a job. I have about a core of 10 that I know is going to pay me, that I know how to work with, I know is going to take care of me. So when they call up and say, hey, I need this done or that done, give me a price, then I give them a price, quote it out, and then we go and do it. So It's not a side business, but at the same time, it's not the main focus. So we have the equipment, we have the people with the know-how. We've done 3 hospitals in the last 2 years, so we do major projects that are up to 500,000 per job.
Right.
But I can do those jobs and have 3 jobs a year and be able to make like $1.5 million or whatever the case may be off of it.
Hmm.
But my primary focus now is what we're doing residentially and light commercial with the roofing sector of it.
Okay, that makes sense. Good. So AI Trade Lift is a technology company that connects trade businesses to various automations to make life easier, run smoother. Now, you presently use a CRM, and then does that also do pretty much everything that you're looking for at the moment?
It does everything that I know about. So
Yeah.
it starts with Shelly at the home office. As soon as somebody calls, she
Hmm.
enters it in. She gets Chris or Mike or Jacob scheduled to go out to do the appointment. You can track the appointments through there. Then it goes to Matt if they sign the contract for the workflow. And then it can even go as far as like 1 and 3 and 5 year follow-up, so we can go back out and just do minor inspections to make sure everything still looks good on the project. And it keeps a contact point for us with the customer. What it also does is we have automations set up within that for like automated emails. So
Right.
instead of us having to call the customer to remind them we're coming out, say next Tuesday, it'll do a 2 day beforehand. Hey, just a reminder, Mike Groom will be showing up at your house at 9 a.m.
Nice.
to do this. And the same thing with the production side of it. We can send out automated emails and stuff saying, hey, your project's 2 weeks out. Here's a checklist of things that you need to do as a homeowner to be ready for us to come out.
Perfect. Those things are a little bit of work to set up, but boy, they're a lifesaver once they're done.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to talk to you about entrepreneurship, not about Titan Roofing, not about anything, but related necessarily to your business. This is more about you, James. What got you into a mindset that you wanted to be an entrepreneur after all?
Yeah, so back when I was coming out of college, I was wanting to be a state trooper and honestly be a federal marshal maybe at some point in my life. I was working for Lowe's part-time through that and ended up working up into an assistant manager role right out of college. And at that point in time, I was going to make more money as an assistant manager at Lowe's than what I ever would as a state trooper in West Virginia. So I chose to do that, and I did that for 13 years. And then after I left Lowe's, I went to Walgreens and was up to the point where I was getting ready to be a district manager in training. My point on all that was I loved it, and it gave me a great customer service background.
Oh yeah, that would, yeah.
But you're making money for a corporation that at the end of the day, you're a number, right?
Right.
Like if they're going to merge or they're going to downsize, they don't care what you've done the last 10 or 15 years. You're just a number. And if it's your number that's getting called, you're gone. And
Mhm.
I always grew up wanting to have, and this is going to sound stupid or cheesy, I wanted to have a logo or my name on the side of a truck. Okay, I don't know why. I'm like, man, it'd be so cool to be able to drive down the road and have my company logo on the side of the truck. And I talked to my wife and we were doing stuff, and it was just like she believed in me and she would let me take that leap of faith to start this. So when I started Titan Barriers, it was just a great thing that made me fall in love with being a business owner. I love the fact that I can work 17 hours a day, but if I need to, and I need to take from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock off to go to a kid's t-ball game or a basketball game, then that allowed me the freedom to do that, which ultimately was awesome because the one year I was stuck on afternoon shift a lot at Lowe's, and I missed my son's baseball season almost in its entirety. And I'm like, something's got to change. And
Right.
that's what allowed me to get into being a business owner. And I just love it. I absolutely love being a business owner. It's got its headaches, it's got its heartaches, it's got its stresses, but it's also allowed me to have a life where my wife was able to retire from the hospital to come and work for me full time. And that gives her the ability to be home with the family all the time.
That's great. So now, what piece of advice would you give any entrepreneur, somebody who's maybe just starting out with their own operation or been in their operation for a while? Maybe they're very successful, maybe they're struggling, but what is the thing that you learned about your business that you think other people could benefit from knowing?
Number one, believe in yourself. Because the one thing that you're not going to have is 100% support from everybody.
That's right.
And knowing that the people that are probably least likely to support you, as crazy as this might sound, is your immediate family. Like some of your harshest critics will come from that immediate family. Now, it's not everybody. Some will be like, yeah, let's do this. Let me help you pump it out. Like I have a sister who probably does more than anybody to push stuff out on social media for us.
Right.
But it's not like that across the board. I have other relatives who would care less, would rather honestly see you fail than be successful. So keep your network small, have people that you trust. Keep your moves not necessarily small, but keep them quiet until you make them. Don't announce what all you're going to do and put it out there, because when you do, you're setting yourself up to have all those negative feedback and people not really supporting you. And just like I said, believe in yourself. Set a culture that you want to have and stick with it, and understand that every day is not a home run. Sometimes you're going to take 3 steps back before you go forward, but every single day's got to be a learning experience. If it's a failure today, make it a learning experience, because you are going to fail. You're going to fail probably more than you succeed until you get to that point where you get over the mountain. And then when you're over that mountain, you're still going to fail. So it still better be a learning point.
That's right. That's very good. I've been a business consultant largely in healthcare for 25 years. And, I've got a little sign behind me. I don't know if it shows up, but it says little changes lead to massive success. And it's something I believe very firmly. It's the little changes, consistent changes that you make it part of your operations, and then just boom, 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 boom. And then it just begins to take off. I also say that all change is met with resistance. And the way I kind of say it, James, it's like you got this idea, something you want to do with the company, and you put it out there in, I don't know, some kind of meeting or exec meeting or whatever, and nobody's sitting around high-fiving each other, right? At first, it's kind of like, okay, but that first feeling is a resistance, and you have to have a thick skin as an executive or business owner that, not everybody's going to be completely on board at first. And sometimes they might push back, but looking at the greater good and not doing so sweeping of a change at one time, things can move in the right direction. I love how you have all this aligned with not only how you think, but how your culture now operates, right? So now, give us now, we're going to be running to a close here. So give me a little bit about how people could find you, James, and find your company, reach out, get a quote, find out more about your business.
Yeah, so you can certainly Google us, and it's TitanRoofingWV.com. We're on Facebook, Titan Roofing LLC, 304-244-9292. That's our phone number. And that's pretty much, the main way to reach us, I would say.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, thank you, James, for being on this podcast. I enjoy talking to you. I like your kind of the culture that you push across and everything you've done. I love success, and I love when it's not always easy, but it's persistence on a given course will get you there eventually, right? Never give up, never surrender, so to speak, right?
So there's days you're going to want to give up. There's days you're going to be like, is it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely days like that. And you power through, you believe in what you do, and what you give back to the community is infinitely valuable. I truly admire that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, James, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks.